Hello, hello, and welcome back to Reclaiming My Identity with your host, Keenan West. I am here with Tony L. Tony L. First of all, let's start off, Tony L. Tell us who you are, where you're from. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well,
Well,
I
I
am
am
from the
from the
South,
South,
born in
born
South
South
Georgia.
Georgia.
Wasn't
Wasn't
raised
raised
though.
though.
And I
And I
think
think
that's
that's
important
important.
um,
Um,
because
because
my
my
dad was
dad
in the
was in the
military, so
military,
I
so
was
I was
very
very
fortunate
fortunate
to
to
be
be
able
able
to
to
experience
experience
different
different
cultures,
cultures,
even
even
though
though
it was
it was
forcefully
forcefully
done
done
when I
when
was
I was
little.
little.
Because
Because
I
I
always
always
like
like
to,
to,
when you
when you
meet
meet
friends, and then
friends, and
all
then
of a
all of a
sudden
sudden you
you gotta
gotta
leave
leave
them.
them.
We don't
We don't
understand
understand
with the
with the
child
child
mindset.
mindset,
But in
but in
my
my
adult
adult
age,
age,
I
I
am
am
very
very
blessed
blessed
that my
that my
dad
dad
did
did
take me
take
up
me up
by my
by my
neck
neck
and
and
take me
take me
where he
where he
wanted to
wanted to
go,
go,
because my
because my
life was
life
much
was much
richer
richer
because of
because of
that.
that.
Because
Because
I was
I was
able
able
to
to
um,
um,
be
be
taught
taught
to
to
not be
not be
afraid to
afraid to
talk,
talk,
ask
ask
questions,
questions,
meet
meet
people,
people,
introduce
introduce
yourself.
yourself.
Even though
Even though
I'm
I'm
basically
basically
an
an
introvert,
introvert,
but I
but I
think
think
that
that
foundation
foundation
has been
has
very
been very
beneficial to
beneficial
me
to me
as
as
I've
I've
grown
grown
older.
older.
Um,
Um,
that being
that
the
being the
case,
case,
I
I
was
was
brought
brought
up
up
not
not
really
really
understanding
understanding
racial
racial
issues in
issues in
regards to
regards to
black and
black and
white.
white.
That
Right.
That
also
also
instilled
instilled
in
in
me
me
when I
when I
moved
moved
up
up
from
from
Augusta
Augusta
to
to
Atlanta,
Atlanta,
the
the
mecca
mecca
of
of
blackness.
blackness.
It
It
definitely
definitely
opened
opened
me a
me a
lot
lot
of
of
avenues
avenues
to
to
explore
explore
that
that
blackness,
blackness, and
that
that
quest with
quest
my
with my
curiosity
curiosity
to
to
know
know
why. Why
why
is
is
there
there
a
a
racial
racial
issue in
issue
this
in this
country?
country?
Why
Why
it
it
is
is
ethnic
ethnic
groups
groups
that
that
whites
whites
have
have
went to
went to
war
war
with
with
are
are
more
more
accepted
accepted
than
than
blacks
blacks
are.
are.
Um,
Um,
it is
it is
all
all
just
just
very
very
puzzling to
puzzling to
me,
me,
and
and
that
that
built my
built my
curiosity
curiosity
to
to
want to
want
know
to know
why, to
why,
ask
to
the
ask the
question
question
why.
why.
That's why
That's
I
why I
created a
created a
podcast,
podcast,
a
a
blog
blog
called
called
Eye
"I
Open.
Open,"
Um,
um,
and
and
the tagline
tagline
is
is the
question
question
boldly.
boldly,
As
as
Thomas
Thomas
Jefferson
Jefferson
once
once
eloquently
eloquently
stated,
stated,
for
for
challenged
challenged
us
us
to
to
question
question
boldly
boldly
even the
even the
existence
existence
of
of
God.
God.
Because even
Because even
during
during
that
that
period,
period,
that was
that
a
was a
very
very
serious
serious
question,
question,
because they
because they
doubted the
doubted the
existence of
existence of
God.
God.
Um,
Um,
and I
and I
think
think
our
our
negative
negative
position
position
as
as
a
a
nation,
nation,
as a
as a
people in
people in
general,
general,
has to
has to
do with
do with
people
people
just
just
not
not
willing to
willing to
ask
ask
the
the
question.
question.
We
We
all
all
got
got
we
we
all got
all
the
got the
questions
question
because we
because we
all are
all are
puzzled.
puzzled.
How we
How we
get
get
here,
here,
physically,
physically,
mentally,
mentally,
what's
what's
going
going
on,
on,
but
but
we
we
get
get
into a
into a
bubble,
bubble,
and
and
the
the
pop
pop
culture
culture
tells us
tells us
don't
don't
question,
question,
don't
don't
question,
Hmm.
question,
just
just
walk
walk
along,
along,
don't
don't
question,
question,
everything be
everything
all
be
right.
alright.
You
You
know,
know,
what's
what's
that?
that?
Um, I'm
I'm
happy but
happy but
proud.
proud.
Hmm.
I'm
I'm
poor
poor
but
but
proud.
proud.
You
You
know,
Hmm.
know,
that
that
mindset
mindset
is
is
very
very
is
is
very
very
detrimental to
detrimental
us
to
as
us
a
as a
people,
people,
and
and
generally
generally
as a
as a
nation.
nation.
Okay. So where exactly you said grew up in South Georgia? So grew up in Augusta and then Atlanta.
No,
No, no.
Atlanta is
Atlanta is
where
where
Augusta is
Augusta is
where
where
my
my
dad
dad
retired
retired
from the
from the
Okay.
military,
military,
Okay.
and that's
and
where
that's where
I
I
did my
did my
formative
formative
years.
years.
And
And
then when
then
I
when I
graduated
graduated
high
high
school,
school, and
and I
I
went up,
went up,
came up to
came up to
came to college
college
to
to
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Of
Hmm.
course,
Of
I've
course, I've
always
always
visited in
visited in
Atlanta,
Atlanta,
the
the
weekends or
weekends or
whatever,
whatever,
just to
just
get out of
get out of
town.
town.
And
And
as soon as
as
I
soon as
got
I got
opportunity,
opportunity,
I
I
came into
came
the
into the
Big
Big
A.
A.
So you're in the Big A now.
I'm in the
I'm in the
Big A
Big A
now,
now,
loving it.
loving it.
All right. All right. All right.
Where
Where
you
are
at,
you
by the
at, by
way?
the way?
I am actually an hour and 20 minutes from you in Columbus, in the Big C.
Actually, I went to elementary school in 1976 at Key Elementary in Columbus. I don't know if it's still there or not, on Lumpkin Road.
Okay.
That area. So yeah, I got Fort Benning, definitely. Yeah.
That's all right.
Not too far.
Not too far. Yeah, my in-laws live in Atlanta, so we go to Atlanta on a somewhat regular basis. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, Columbus has grown. I mean, it's like you really got to put that anymore because the lights are there too, almost as white as Atlanta.
Yeah, the one thing I like about it at Columbus is not a lot to do, but I like the pace is slower. So you have some things, but you don't have the traffic of Atlanta, which is good. Which is good.
But your downtown is booming. I mean, as far as the look, I mean, it's totally different. I mean, I haven't really got there and really tried to retrace my history there to find out is Key still there, is the road still the same. But my time downtown Columbus, I mean, it's still growing.
Yes. So you mentioned growing up and looking at the challenges of I guess racism and things like that. I noticed on your bio you mentioned that you love being an American, and you believe that it suffers truly from its people's lack of knowledge of what truly makes America exceptional. Its fundamental God endowed principles recognized in the founding documents, and that there's a silent war to remove these principles from existence. So can you unpack that a little bit? Unpack that for us.
I'm a silent guy.
Right. That's why I said. That's why I said a little bit, just a little bit.
Right. It's crazy. When I got into this, and it's like a rabbit hole that I'm still involved in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
Is to understand first. You have to ask a question: What is the significance of America? Now, when I was growing up, I'm a 65 baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so education was different, a lot different than it is now. And I remember being taught the Constitution, the 13 colonies, we did play, and we had to know this. And I just find it curiously interesting that there's little evidence of the Constitution in our culture. Like none. It's like doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's curious that people want to claim like constitutional rights or other stuff. But other than that, you don't see evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you compare kind of like President Douglas did with this speech for July, and he mentioned himself, I think it was in that speech, when he said, during that period, if you stack up all the benefits and the right and the good and the bad, and you compare it to all the other countries on the planet, America still shines. And so I look at that, and I look at how much effort is applied to make us believe that America is like Nazi Germany, and particularly because the black people, the black person is that so much effort. Again, it's like the title, Public Enemy is the nation of millions to hold us back. And that has a lot of reality when you look at how much effort is applied to our identity, who we are, where we come from, and also this notion that we
we
don't
don't
matter.
matter.
But
But
other
other
evidence
evidence
shows
shows
that
that
if
if anybody matters, we do
as
as
a
a
people.
people.
When
When you look at that,
by
by
all
all
accounts,
accounts, even the most
passive
passive
observer
observer
who's
who's
honest
honest
with
with
themselves
themselves
would
would
say
say that
agree
that
that we
we were the first people.
Okay.
And
And
if
if that's the case,
and
and
when
when
you
you
look
look
at
at
how
how
does
does
that
that
manifest
manifest
or
or
morph
morph
itself
itself
to
to
where
where
we
we
are
are
now?
now?
Because
Because
it
it
really
really
doesn't
doesn't
make
make
sense.
sense.
And
And
when
when
you
you
look
look
at
at
our
our
presence
presence
here
here
on
on
this
this
continent,
continent, in this country,
and
and
you
you
look
look
at
at
our
our
history
history
and
and
how
how
it's
it's
been
been
so
so
distorted
distorted
and
and
minimized
minimized
to our
through our
history
history
only
only
being
being
slaves.
slaves.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
we're
we're
in
in
so-called
so-called
Black
Black
History
History
Month,
Month,
and
and
you
you
hear
hear
highlighted
highlighted
our
our
period
period
from
from
1960s
1960s
forward.
forward.
You see
You see
highlighted
highlighted
our
our
entertainment.
entertainment.
You
You
see
see
highlighted
highlighted
sports
sports
athletes.
athletes.
Mm-hmm.
You
You
don't
don't
hear
hear
highlighted
highlighted
of
of
Mansa
Mansa
Musa,
Musa,
the
the
Okay.
richest
richest
man
man
ever,
ever,
Mm-hmm.
black
black
man.
man.
You
You
don't
don't
hear
hear
history
history
of
of
Hannibal.
Hannibal.
You
You
don't
don't
hear
hear
history
history
of
of
even
even
um,
um,
the
the
most
most
even
even
Madam
Madam
C.J.
C.J.
Walker,
Walker,
Mm-hmm.
or
or
even
even
the
the
gentleman
gentleman
who
who
did
did
the almanac,
almanac,
but
but
he
he
helped
helped
actually
actually
design in
design
Washington,
Washington
D.C.
D.C.
I
Mm-hmm.
forget
Forget his name. It
come
come
to
to
me.
me.
But
But
we a
we a
lot
lot
more
more
than
than
1960s.
1960s.
We're a
We're a
lot
lot
more
more
than the
than the
athletes
athletes
and
and
entertainment.
entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Because we
we're the
were the
first
first
on this
on this
planet.
planet.
Yeah.
So
So
we've been
we've been
minimized
minimized
purposely.
purposely.
And
And
what
what
is
is
brought
brought
to
to
our
our
young
young
people
people
is
is
the
the
minimalist
minimalist
of
of
us,
us,
not
not
the
the
greatest
greatest
of
of
us.
us.
Mm-hmm.
And when
And
you
when you
see
see
the
the
culture
culture
that's
that's
been
been
designed
designed
for us,
for us,
just
just
over
over
the
the
short
short
period of
period of
time,
time,
we
we
got
got
the
the
pop
pop
culture.
culture.
We're
We're
going
going
from
from
Bill
Bill
Cosby
Cosby,
showing the
showing the
positive
positive
of
of
blacks
blacks,
to
to
um,
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 gangsters.
gangsters.
Yeah.
All
All
gangsters
gangsters
with
with
buffoons,
buffoons,
and
and
we're
we're
single
single
parent,
parent,
baby
baby
kids,
kids,
and
and
Medina.
Medina.
Medea.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
But
but
when you
when
look
you look
at
at
America
America
and
and
how
how
important
important
America
America
and
and
American
American
capitalism
capitalism
has
has
been
been
for the
for the
world,
world,
and then
and then
you
you
see
see
our
our
place
place
in the
in the
development
development
of
of
America
America
and
and
development
development
of
of so
many
many
inventions
inventions
Mm-hmm.
that could
that could
only
only
been
been
designed
designed
in
in
this
this
country
country
because of
because
the
of the
freedoms
freedoms
that the
that the
Constitution
Constitution
codified,
codified,
that
that
recognize
recognize
our
our
rights
rights
and our
and our
liberties
liberties
don't
don't
come
come
from
from
man,
man,
come
come
from
from
God.
God.
No
No
other
other
country
country
does
does
that.
that.
Not
Not
England, not
England,
the
not the
UK,
UK,
not
not
Russia.
Russia.
No
No
other
other
country
country
says
says
your
your
rights
rights
come
come
from
from
God.
God.
So let me ask you a question. How do you balance? Um, the fact that this country has, I guess, minimalized us and minimalized our contributions and and who we are. And I want to unpack that a little bit more in a moment. But how do you balance that with what the country has done to us and is doing to us to, I guess, your love for this country?
When
When
you
you
understand
understand
who
who
you
you
are,
are,
what
what
people
people
think you
think you
are
are
matters
matters
less.
less.
Okay.
So
So
if you know that you don't come from slaves. Slavery, if you want to look at that, that's 300 years out of like presence on this planet. It's minimal. And it's even less than our presence on this continent. Once you understand that we were already here in Mars, we want to walk here somewhere. I'm not saying none were, but we were already here. So when you look at that and you understand that everything is economics. Everything is economics. And slavery just didn't begin here in this country. America's footprint for slavery is very relatively small when you compare that to Brazil, and you compare that to what's happening in continental Africa today. Very small footprint. So to just focus on that and make that our beginning and our end is not physical. And once you realize that, you gotta stop and think, well, what is this really about? If we look at ourselves intellectually, we understand that the melanated people are the majority on this planet, not the Caucasian.
Correct.
The melanated people are the majority of people in this on this continent, not the Caucasian. The black man and woman, I hate using the word black because there's no such thing as black, but the Negro is the strongest. Everything comes from us. If we know our value, we would take over. That's the purpose. And if we know our history on this continent, understand that if we're already here, you cannot intellectually justify the thought that Europeans, small number of Europeans, came over here and just became Einstein.
So it's, man, you said so much I want us to touch on, So, but I would start with I guess you mentioned, what's going on in Africa, right? So there is, I guess first unpack what you're talking about when you say what's going on in Africa, and you mentioned that in the context when I said basically, what's happening in this country and what this country's done to us. How do you, balance that? And then you mentioned, what's going on in Africa. So unpack that first.
Let's tackle the 300-pound gorilla in the China store. What is this country doing to us? This country, we have more billionaires than anywhere on the planet. This country, we have more millionaires, black millionaires than anywhere on the planet. In this country, we have $4.7 trillion of our economy on an annual basis. Only second to the Hispanics, we have a little over 5 trillion, which maybe explain to you why this place against so much love compared to us. So we need to understand we are rich in this country. We're just being educated and conditioned to think that we are poor. You cannot look at a BET award and see all those millionaires go on the stage and then hear come out this mouth that we are servants. To me, that's just how can you do math? Someone's running game on me. You are blinging everywhere. But you want me to be mad at the country that put you on stage? I don't understand that. It's a mind game, and I call it, forgive me, it's a mind fuck. But who is to blame for what your reality is? We are what's enemy, not the country. The country cannot be the worst enemy if other ethnic groups, Indians, Asians, even Caribbeans come over here and become wealthy. Set up shop in all communities that we've been there forever, for generations. They got melanin in their skin too. Indians, as a group, make more money than Caucasians do. So it's not a race issue. When I went to Canada, I spent over 2 years in Canada. Blacks are different. You ever been to Canada?
I have never been to Canada.
Have you been outside the country?
I've been outside of the country more than I can count.
Have you lived outside the country?
Yes. I lived in Rwanda for almost a year.
Blacks are different. Even in Canada, I know it's different in Rwanda. But we as American blacks, we are unique compared to all other blacks because we are American. We have the swag. We have the flavor in how we walk our presence. I've been to Sweden, and my girlfriend at the time, we were walking in the crowd, and other Negroes were approaching me to do the hip hop. Now, she was Caucasian. She's like, do you know that guy? I'm like, no. But you just, I said, because this is all ours. So we need to agree each other just because we know. But back to my point, when I was in Canada and the blacks are there different, they don't have the crutches. Where to go, what not to do, what not to go. They don't have those implanted crutches. So when I looked at that and I look at them, I say, and this confirmed what I already have gone through my mind. Our condition is taught.
You said taught?
It's taught.
Okay. Taught by
our education system.
Okay.
Blacks are academically achievers more so than here when you get academic rate in the UK, blacks in Canada.
Now, hold on, because I gotta interject. So you said, that, I mean, you mentioned, the system here. You mentioned that we are, the way that, we think or whatever is because of what we're taught. We're taught based, I mean, like you said, the education system that is here is what's teaching us. And so if the education is what's teaching us, and the system is what's teaching us, how is it that the system and the country is not to blame partly for where we are?
I'm not saying America is not held blameless. I say at the end of the day, it's up to us. It's up to us individually. When you look at the illegitimate childbirth in our community, when you look at the amount of black crimes, that's a youth problem.
Yes.
Partly.
Yeah, partly.
No. Because when you look at our community, say like in the 30s, in the 20s, we didn't have black on black crime, black crime. We didn't have illegitimate childbirth like we do now. We didn't have to break up other families like we do now in our community. But we're black then, right?
So there's a see that the whole narrative has to be told. Now the reason why I say this is because so when you have these different crimes that are taking places in these dense areas, what is the reason? Oftentimes it's because of poverty. And so if poverty exists, what is the natural response? You're going to rob, you're going to kill, you're going to steal in order to get ahead. So I agree with you in that partly it is our fault in that, and this is a kind of a different road. And this I wanted to kind of ask you this question as well, because you mentioned us not knowing who we are, and so us not knowing who we are, meaning if you look at scripture, all right, look at scripture, we are, according to Deuteronomy 28, the children of Israel. I'm not talking about the spiritual. I'm talking about the literal, the lineage, okay?
Sure.
And if we look at Deuteronomy 28, everything that we are experiencing now, we're going through now, is a result of the fact that our ancestors were disobedient to God. And so because of that, we are, Deuteronomy tells us all of these things, the stuff that you're mentioning, these things would happen to us. And so that's why I say the whole narrative has to be told. Yes, it's partly, our fault, because, Deuteronomy 28, but then it's partly also, the system's fault, because the system is what places us in these situations in the first place for us to, to kill each other. Go ahead.
As I was a child, I did childish things, but when I became an adult, I became those childish things away.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you got to look in the mirror and say, it's me, it's on me. You cannot say that you are impoverished when you got $4.7 trillion going through your community on an annual basis.
Are you sure 4.7? What I saw is 1 trillion.
No, it's 4. It's 4. So the two can't hold the same space. You could be told you are poor and impoverished on a regular basis, and you start to believe it. It's as Hitler says, if you tell a lie enough, it's something that's true eventually. That's the only way it could be true, if you believe it. We have today, we're now coming to our community, and we got to spend $1.50. We're not poor people. We're just financially illiterate, and we don't know ourselves. We don't know the history that we should take from not just 1960s and MLK and being down and out and being sprayed with water cannons by the white man, so to speak, quote unquote. We got to look at a period of time through Black Wall Streets. It was more than one. It was Tulsa, it was Atlanta, it was New York, it was North Carolina. And how did they do that through the so-called roughest time? And we can't do that now. We're the same people. The culture and environment has changed. Our attitudes between us in regards to ourselves have changed. That's the only thing that's changed. When we had our own schools, our schools were better than a white man's school. Desegregation was the worst thing ever happened to our community. King knew that he was being used to live his life. That's why he was sincere with us up there in Tennessee. Because he was going to flip the script on all of that. That's why he was taken out. King, I have a dream speech. It's not the same as the king that was getting ready to give the speech to the sanitation workers. Totally different man. Understood that. He was the prostitute in all of this, and he's going to change that. Every person, whether you look at King, whether you look at Michael X, whether you look at Tupac, whether you look at Michael Jackson, or whether you look at Bill Cosby, who's going to tell us the truth of ourselves, and like Tupac says, encourage us to change the way we eat, change the way we talk, change the way how we relate to each other. He spoke of that. He also spoke of that he was born amongst a dying breed. What did he mean by that? He means physically? No, he means spiritually, I believe. Because he knew what people were and where they were headed if they didn't change.
So why have we not changed? Because, and this is why I go back to the Deuteronomy 28 part, because you can The reality is this. We know it. You know this already. The system in this country is not set up for us. It's just not.
Who's us?
I mean, with people that look like you and me. All right.
Why?
It is not. Why? The system was never created for us. Okay. We were never to be a part of this system. That's why you have that's why you have this huge wealth gap. That's why we are disproportionately that's why people that look like you and me, melanated people, that's why we get, what is it, like 2.5 times more, the incarceration rate is 2.5 times worse than our European brethren. That's why we are, when it comes to sentencing, it's the same thing. I mean, all of this stuff, everything, that's why we are, you know, when it comes to sickness and disease in this country, that's why we are at the top. Okay. I mean, all of these things, that's why we get shot more. That's why we get pulled over more. All of these things. Go ahead.
I hear what you're saying, and I hear the argument, but it's groundless when you look at the fact that Indians, who are melanated people, come over here and they're earning more money than the Caucasians. They're melanated people too. When you look at,
they are melanated people, but they're not the Negroes. They're not the Hebrews. They're not the children of Israel. So, and you know this because a person that comes from Africa is looked at differently than the person who was born here.
Well, now, that's the question that we ought to start at. Not this facade that we're the downtrodden, that the country is designed to defeat us.
The statistics show that, though. But go ahead.
But you gotta look at statistics. Don't become such without having an origination point or reason why. When the points that you brought up, that many people bring up, is the incarceration rate, how the deterioration of our communities, and how we are positioned in this culture, in this community. We got to look at how did we get here from the inventors, the Black Wall Streets, and the prominence that we had before the 1960s. What happened in the 1960s? What happened from these 7 awesome men being elected to the Congress during Reconstruction from the South, who were black? What happened to the America that prohibited the importation of slavery? What happened to the nation that forbid the expansion of slavery to the West until when the Democrats took control of Congress and worked to the benefit of the Southern slave owners to expand slavery and ignore the laws that were passed prior, where you look at the 14th, 15th, and 16th Amendment. All of that happened here too in this country for our benefit. Now, I'm not excusing what has happened, but I'm saying that we got to look at things in context. We got to look at what have politics played in this. And we got to look at and understand that slavery was an economic institution, not based on color, because there were white slaves too. They were black slave owners. So it wasn't a black and white thing. We got to look at the whole economics of it, and then when you look at the fact that we
They didn't go to Europe getting slaves. They went to Africa. They didn't go to Europe getting. They went to Africa getting slaves. Everybody went to Africa getting slaves. So it's impossible to say that it wasn't a color thing, because they didn't go to Europe. They didn't go to
Well, first of all, we are the strongest people on this planet.
That is correct.
There were white slaves in mass in this country. Some reports that there were more white slaves than black slaves when the ink was dry on the Declaration of Independence.
I will have to that's a lie. That's not truth. I mean, I don't know.
Why is that a lie?
Because it is common knowledge. Everybody knows that. Now, I don't know where the whole Europe, white slaves being here came from. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows this country was built off the backs of melanated people. I mean, that's common knowledge. I mean, even though they're trying to take that out of the history books and out of the schools, that's still common knowledge.
But do you not give some light that the conqueror writes the history that benefits him?
That is true.
Okay. So we can understand that possibly the common knowledge, quote unquote, is his history, not our history.
No, they're not going to. If it's his history, he's not going to say that. Okay, so his history will say that, okay, it was only a couple 100,000 slaves that were brought from Africa. Okay, when the reality is it was tens of millions. All right, his history is going to say that that there were European slaves here. I mean, his history. Why would he do that? In order to make it seem as if them bringing Negro slaves here or Negroes here, Hebrews here, was not a big deal, as though it wasn't as huge as it's always been made to be. I mean, it is. You can go on slavevoyages.org. You can see the slave the manifest of the ships or whatever. It is known. I have never ever heard or seen any proof anywhere that there were European slaves, white slaves here in this country, and on top of that, never seen or heard anything about there ever being more than there being Negro slaves here.
I respect that, but you can also understand because you never heard it, don't mean it's not true. Because there's one book where you look at they came before Columbus. There's a book called White Cargo that specifically talks about the white slave trade. You need to understand that this was penal colony. That the Europeans used this country to send its degenerate, is unwanted here. And even if you look at movies such as 12 Years Slave, it depicted a white slave in that movie. So it's not like that. It's beyond comprehension. It's not like this is unknown. We need to think that if you want control of people, you want to put as much in their head that they have no value. If you want control of people, it's best to tell them that they came from a people of slaves rather than people of kings. If you want control of people, you want to make sure that they may not have a home that they can call their own. If they do all of that, you can control that community.
But isn't that what this country has done? Everything that you just said, isn't that what isn't that what this country has done?
Sure. But at the end of the day, I don't believe what they taught me. I believe what I read, and also I believe in what makes sense. When you look at the size of European countries, and you look at the population after the Black Plague, the population of Europe, and you want to somehow describe in your mind that small group of people came over here and conquered a nation. Not only conquered this nation, but also supposed to conquer African nations also, and came to put their people by force.
If they're coming with guns, if they're coming with gunpowder, and you have a bow and arrow, I mean, it's you know, I mean, a gun beats a switchblade any day.
But keep in mind, they're coming to a strange, unknown country. They don't know the damn terrain. This is our home. I know where all the crack crevices are. I know where all the hideouts are. And plus, I know the climate. So there's a lot of advantages theoretically that I have to my advantage compared to a person who's just coming up here exploring. Now, I don't have all the answers, but we can understand what we've been told doesn't make sense.
But okay, so this is the thing. You're speaking from someone who has already been enlightened. Now, you mentioned before that we're taught certain things through the educational system, right? So there are millions upon millions of melanated folk in this country who are not quote unquote woke, all right? Who don't have this kind of knowledge. And the reason they don't have this kind of knowledge is because they have been indoctrinated by this educational system that has told us certain things about ourselves. And so, yes, people are going to grow up believing that they are nothing but thugs and hustlers and prostitutes and all of this other stuff, because that's and slaves, because that's what we have been taught in the educational system in this country. I mean, we can't get around that. And so I don't understand how you say that it's not the country, that the country is not the problem, but it's our problem.
Yes. Because again, we got over $4 trillion going through our economy. We are rich people. Now, I understand what you're saying, but we need to look at again, how do we get here? Before Woodrow Wilson, it was common knowledge of black presence in this country. It's common knowledge that blacks were patriots. It was common knowledge that blacks had a very significant role in this country. Wilson erased our presence from all books. He was a racist. So we look at that and we understand how did our education system change? It changed from that point on. It's never been corrected. When you ask about, I see what you're saying, but
$1 trillion in buying power. $1 trillion.
I look. It's more than that. It's more than that.
But okay, I'm just saying. I've never heard 4 trillion. I've never heard. I've always heard $1 trillion.
After we hang up, I will seek information. I've covered this many times, and if you look at the black wealth, and when you look at how much our buying power is, and how much we going coming through our economy, it's far more than $1 trillion. But get to my point. When you, what was I saying?
I asked go ahead.
Wilson changed the education system because he was a racist. I mean, he's the one that was sick clan on the blacks in the South. He's the one who actually had birth of a nation shown in the White House, which meaning to say we invigorated the plan. That was his point, was to make us irrelevant. So when you the education system, you first got to start there. Then you have to look at issue, understanding the evidence, understanding the reason why the crops people say was so devastating to the white community because of economics. So when you look at also the family base that was strong before the 60s, and how the church was so important in sustaining us through the superiors of Jim Crow. And then all of a sudden, those were pretty much made irrelevant. Because you got to look at what happened in the 60s, what happened under LBJ, how he imposed taxes and status to churches, but they could not speak out against political issues, which was what the church, black church in particular, was prominent for, letting us know what political person was for our benefit. Up to that point, we were dead set against Democrats. Okay, and then when you look at what he did through the changing of the Social Security entitlement, making sure that the black family was detrimentally affected by the removal of the black male. You cannot look at the decrepit situation of the black family and not see LBJ. And then when you look at the incarceration rate, yes, Reagan had a part in this. But when you look at Clinton with his 3 strikes, and then you also got to look at all that combined. I said Reagan had a part in the incarceration rate. But when you look at the multiple effects of the Democrat policies, you have to understand that there's a reason why the blacks are keeping the Democrat Party afloat by voting 80%. And why we don't get any better, because their whole purpose is to keep us voting for them. And we would not vote for them if we didn't need them. So if we were economically sufficient, self-sufficient, we would not need them.
So this is the thing. I mean, you don't have to sell me on the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, because I don't vote for either one of them. All right, because both of them are evil. All right, neither one of them have our best interests at heart. Okay, the Democrats, they are. I mean, they like you said, they want to keep us under their wing, but don't do anything for us. The Republican Party, they straight up hate us, and they tell us that they hate us. All right.
How?
So how? The Republican Party. Okay. First thing is, because you were mentioning the Democratic Party, you know, of old and how they did this, that, and another. Okay. And I'm assuming you're talking about the Republican Party did this, that, and another. All right. The Lincoln Republican Party is not what we see today. All right. These two parties, Democrat and Republican, are basically flip-flop. All right. And so, because the racist party now, you cannot look at the administration of the Republican parties, Trump and everybody before him. You cannot tell me how they are not anti quote unquote black. Anti.
How can you say they are?
So first of all, it's known that Trump is a racist. All right.
How is it known?
How is it known? I mean, let's start with the Central Park 4. Then you have the him calling African countries S-hole countries. Then you have him talking about Haitians eating dogs and all this other stuff, and I can go on and on and on. We can talk about the whole. Yeah, he doesn't say that about Europeans. We can talk about him putting beside him a Nazi sympathizer, Elon Musk, who straight up at the inauguration did a, what is it, Hail Hitler siege sign, whatever it is. I mean, you can't get around, you can't escape the fact that the Republican Party is racist. Now they may say they have the biblical values, okay, but they don't. All right, because when you look at the example of Christ cared about people. Christ talked about looking out for the foreigner and the stranger, all of those things, all of that which Trump and the Republican Party are anti.
How they anti?
How they anti? Okay, so what does the Bible say about taking care of the foreigner and the stranger? But what do? They want to kick everybody out, right? What did he do?
Everybody.
Who's everybody? All of the folk who are in this country, who are either, they could be either illegal or legal. Because from what I heard, they trying to kick out everybody. And on top of that, you have what is it?
But it's like conjecture. Because one thing, it's one thing to be legal. If you're legal, you're legal. If it's illegal, it's illegal by definition. But we also need to look at what are the negative effects when people come over here that are illegal, and to ask the question, why is this happening? We need to look at the fact who is detrimentally affected by that. The lower income. Who sits most at the low income? Our people. And we gotta look at why is it so seen as beneficial to let people in who are going to directly compete against your own people.
But I'm sorry, we're not fighting. We're not fighting for the farm jobs. We're not fighting for the farm jobs. See, those are jobs.
Why do you speak on one industry? We're not talking about the hospitality industry. We ain't looking at that. We ain't looking at the hotel, the manufacturer laborers. We ain't looking at that.
We can look at that, but those jobs, if you think about it, a lot of those jobs, those are not the jobs that we're going after.
No. We don't want to add that pay. We don't want to add that pay. When we were the strongest community, we had manufacturing complexes in our community until Democrats took it out of our community. That's where you can have your father with one income, raise a family, because he had a factory job that he don't want to. No, we don't want to compete with foreigners at that wage because they're living 20, 12 people a house. Yes, we don't want that. But also, when you look at the fact that we are killing our babies in the womb at an unsustainable rate through a person who named us the unwanted, Margaret Singer, via Planned Parenthood. Look at that. We need to also look at the fact that we kill each other at 60-70%. We kill our own. So if we had that population there, we want to have a negative birth rate in this country. We want to have to need to import. Again, everything's economics.
But you do know that yes, we kill our own, but statistics show that people kill the people in their demographic. You see what I'm saying? So the people that they're around.
We didn't do this in the 30s and 40s.
We didn't do this in the 30s and 40s?
No.
Things have gotten worse. Listen. if you think about,
has it
go ahead.
gotten worse than so-called our worst period, the so-called Jim Crow, so-called the immediate aftermath of slavery? How could, I mean, this is the most prosperous time we got computers in our pockets. Someone got to explain to me how this works in the 1930s.
Just because we have a couple more dollars doesn't mean anything, because the reality is mentally we're worse. Because I wanted to talk about this. When you talk about it earlier about how we make all this money and everything and things are so well, whatever. But the reality is we can have all the money in the world, but mentally, because we don't know who we are, that's why we're spending money on $200 Jordans and all this other crazy stuff.
When you ask a question about all this existential things that may impact us, I've always said, at the end of the day, it comes down to us. And that goes back to what's our mentality. When you look at our people, from the we see our pictures. You see wife, father, child, number one. Everything starts at home. We have the mental outlook like the Indians do. Why are the Indians coming over here kicking our butt? Because they believe in strong family. They believe in being educated. They believe on being entrepreneurial, which we were. We're not so much anymore. So to your point, it is a mental makeup. How do we see ourselves? How do we see the world? When we see things what we cannot do, what we shouldn't do, but I would say what we can and should do, or what would be right. So to your point, it is a mental makeup. It's different than our ancestors were. So that's what we look at. This is the greatest country on the planet. We can do whatever we want to do. There's more money made here in this country than anywhere else. There's more opportunity in this country than anywhere else. That's why it has so many people want to go through across oceans, to go through hell to get to this country because of opportunity. The fact that we're not the advantage of that, that's a you problem.
I agree with you in that this country financially is the greatest. All right. But I think that's where it ends. So I want to look at the scripture in this scripture in Deuteronomy 28:43. I was mentioning earlier about Deuteronomy 28 talks about these things would take place. The alien who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. And so the Bible prophesied that this stuff would happen, that we would go through this. And so, like I said before, initially, yes, partly it is our fault because our ancestors were disobedient. And so naturally, this thing is going to happen. It's going to take place. We're going to be in the position that we're in. I agree with you in that, yes, it is an individual decision. All right. Meaning what I teach people is this. Listen, collectively, according to the Bible, collectively, we're cursed. We're in trouble. All right. But individually, we can all break that curse. We can get out of it individually if we turn back to him. You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
But the problem is this: there are contributing factors to us being in that position. And just like when Pharaoh was keeping the children of Israel in bondage, that was a contributing factor of them, preventing them from being released. This country is doing the exact same and has been doing the exact same thing. If you think about it, you were talking about, these different presidents or whatever, right? Majority of these presidents had slaves. Even in the Constitution, the Constitution or the amendment said that we were 3/5 of the person. So they didn't even count us as a whole person.
Stop.
Come on now.
That nonsense way too often. And we are so determined to find some reason why we are in the frightful situation we are. There's no such thing in the Constitution where it specifically labels Negroes, black people as previous slaves. I get so tired. I mean, that's like supposed to be back in the day where someone picked out the Bible that black people were cursed, or that black people walk around with tails. People believe that nonsense, but they didn't read the Bible. People believe what you say as far as blacks being supposedly free fields. They never read the Bible. We talked about property. We talked about in regards to the proper
representation
count. It never mentioned black people. The only people that specifically ethnically pointed to specifically were Indians. It never said black people. It never said Negro.
Look. So, let's see. Although the Constitution did not refer directly to slaves, it did not ignore them entirely. Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution of the United States declared that any person who was not free, talking about us, would be counted as free
that. No. Read from the exact, directly from the Constitution. Don't read someone into an interpretation of the Constitution. Read for yourself. Read what the Constitution said, word for word, and you interpret it the way you want to. The Constitution doesn't specifically say anything about black people. It says slaves, and again, there were white slaves, and there were black slaves.
Who were the majority of the slaves in the country at that time? It was black people. It's black people. I'm not saying that. That's common knowledge.
Comment don't make it right.
Come on, man. That's. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, again. I could, like I said, there's the one book that's different to it right now, White Cargo. Read that book. There's many other books that says that again, this was a penal nation or colony. And you gotta understand. So if you can give the white people the credit for so-called conquering this nation, you gotta understand that they did it for a purpose. Again, economics. They shipped all of the unwanted people over here to work their farms initially, and they dropped like flies. So they had to keep the machinery running, so they found some people who could last and do better.
So are you saying that it was more European slaves than more quote unquote black slaves?
Yes.
Oh man, come on, man.
Yes.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
I mean, you could.
Where can you give me some? Can you give me some proof that says that there were more European slaves than black slaves?
I keep mentioning this one book. You can start there.
One book. I mean, can you pull up something on the internet? I mean, give me you one book. So 1,000 resources online and everywhere else says the majority were black, but then this one book that you're saying
that says here's what I say. A line needs many layers to support it. The truth don't need but one.
Man, come on, man. Come on.
Now, if your truth is something that you want to hold dear to yourself, I can't move you from that. That's not my job. What drives me is to ever thirsting for why not, and what if. The story that they're telling me that my people, yours, came from slaves, when historically the first slave owner was Anthony Johnson, black man, had the first slave.
First slave where?
Understand? Huh?
First slave where? Here.
Right. We first also understand that we first people came over here first as it did the service. But again, this was a 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐜. So they came over here first as it did the service before slavery became a more efficient means of economic wealth to make it permanent. That's when slavery grew primarily in the South because of the rural industry that needed human capital to make it run. We got to stop looking at things in black and white. At the end of the day, it's green economics.
This was green and black. Green and black. Green and black. Listen, Brother Tony, man, I appreciate the interview. I'm gonna have to let you go. We need to do a part two. We need to do a part two, man. I definitely enjoyed this. But I have to cut it now.
I see it now.
Yes. No. I have to cut it now because I have another engagement. But listen, I am going to reach back out to you if that's all right. So we can do it. So we can do a part two, man. We got to finish this. This was good. This is good.
Read that book.
Hey, look, you got message me and put the name of the book in there.
I'll do that.
All right,
man. I don't have any short books.
That's all right. That's all right. Listen, man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. By the way, anybody who wants to follow me, follow me on project.iopen.com. That's project. Third spell out the letter I open ed.com. Of course, I'm on all the social media platforms and definitely Rumble as far as my video takes. Reach out to me, follow me, all of that stuff. I love to hear from you. Definitely to next time. I appreciate you.
Is this correct? ProjectThirdEye.com?
Third Eye Open.
Oh, Third Eye Open.
OPEND.com.
All right. ProjectThirdEyeOpened.com. Is that correct?
Right. Yes. The letter I.
Oh, okay, open. Man. I'm just jacking you all.
Right.
Third Eye.
Third spell out.
Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, man. I appreciate it, Tony, man. Blessings
I
on
look
you.
forward to part two.
Yes, man. I'm gonna reach back out to you and see what we can do within the next week, man.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Peace.
Bye-bye.